Hi, welcome back. I am very excited about today's guest. I'm here with Vidir Ragnarsson of Reykavik Energy. Vidir, how you doing?
Thank you, Al. I'm doing very good.
All right. Hey, thanks for joining me today. I mean, you now have contributed to the PAFOW conference a couple times, and you have had great things to share. And since then, obviously, the world has been, flipped upside down, and you have some stories to tell about how you've responded. So, if you would, please introduce yourself, and we'll get started.
Yeah, thank you. Well, my name is Vidir Ragnarsson, and I'm the group head of People Analytics here at Reykavik Energy in Iceland. And that is a company of 600 employees. We have utilities for 70% of the country, providing hot and cold water and energy. We also have a subsidiary that is overseeing the fiber network. And our newest company is CarbFix. So that is trying to solve the climate issues by capturing CO2 in the environment and pumping it down into the earth, into rocks. Wow. So that's very, very impressive and fun to follow.
I'll say. Now, let's just jump right into it because you've done everything from pay equality, and I really like the way you've positioned the work that you do, and it aligns with what Dr. Jeffrey Pfeffer talked about in San Francisco, and I know you were there for that, where he talked about our role not only in people analytics but in HR and arguably leadership is around well-being. And you talk about healthier workplaces. And in fact, that's the way you market yourself. So can you speak to, where you are now and how you're responding to the global health crisis before us all?
Yeah. So Iceland is kind of over COVID-19, at least the first phase. So I think it's the new numbers is that 6 people are infected in the country.
Wow.
And when there were most of us infected, we were around 1,800. 10 are dead. And so it was within 1% of the nation that got infected. We tracked everyone that got infected from the last 2 weeks, and everyone they met. We had a special team, and all of those people were put into quarantine. So that was a way of flattening the curve. Mm-hmm. And it seems to have worked. We were announced yesterday that they are opening up the country for foreign flights from the 15th of June. And people will be tested at the airport. So it looks like that we are going rather fast back to normal. Of course, the economic consequences are big here as everywhere. We have been building up tourism for the last 10 years, and that is totally at a stall now. But in this company, we began preparing ourselves in January. So if the possibility of a crisis, of a pandemic would come through, we prepared us with, listening up the people and updating our registry of essential employees, and organizing who would work together and who are necessary to work together. Because of this work we do, we can't let certain people, all of certain groups, get infected. That would be very harmful for the operations and the safety of the nation, basically. So we began planning in January, and that was proved to be really good. In the beginning of March, the first Icelander got infected, And from that day, we banned every trip of our employees out of the country. That is in work-related things. And we cut off all meetings from within the company with above 20 people. And recommended to our employees not to go into meeting outside of the company. So, and that was basically 2 weeks before the country was taking these actions for all the other people. And we started working from home, sending all employees home 1 week before the emergency state of emergency was declared in the whole country. In terms of, well, it was a little bit difficult, of course, like, you know, all that, well, planning this and getting the equipment to and from the workplace and to the homes and transferring people to the home. But we managed, and none of our employees got very sick. Few got sick, but none very sick. And,
that's great to hear. And
you
know, if I can jump in here, because what I'm hearing is that the leadership team had awareness of how their actions were going to affect the broader society, the broader community. So there was a level of understanding of how the system was going to function, that they had a greater responsibility. The other thing that I'm going to ask you about is twofold. Who was actually in the room? Like, you've been doing this for a while there at Reykavik Energy. You know, did the number of people in the room change that were actually consuming your data? In other words, was it facilities? Was there people who, just, were formerly met with maybe once a year? Now are you meeting more frequently? And the follow-on question is the data. Where you and I have connected early on is, even with fair pay, is that you to create what I would call appropriate data to answer the question that was before you. And now I understand that you're seeking appropriate data, not only there at Reykavik Energy, but there in your country, so you can safely expand, the work rules and so forth. So can you speak to those two elements, the frequency and who's in the room, and also the data?
Yeah. Well, the beginning phase in the January depended a lot on the data we have been collecting and we have been working with. So that data was available, and that made this work and this planning much easier. In the room is kind of, emergency committee of the company. And that is the C-suite, some main manager and some specialists that are well in control of the control room and keeping the work flowing. The level of data which we had to provide was at least much faster. And we were answering another question that regularly. In the beginning of April, we put out a survey to all employees where we were asking about, how they were feeling and how is the situation at home, how are you coping, what is going fine and what is not working. And we used that as a guidance to roll out the next phase of our actions in terms of the employment. What was surprising to a lot of people was that many of the respondents, over 40% of the respondents, which we got, said they were feeling better than normally.
Wow.
So, and there was something in that we would like to know more about. What is better? What is functioning better? Why are you feeling better? Is it because you have more control over your work? Is it because you have more focus? Is it because, there was some answer that late unanswered there. And there were 18% of people that were feeling worse. We don't know, don't have a benchmark for that question. If I would ask you in a normal situation, I doubt that all our employees would say, well, I feel like normally. So there is some distribution of that, but we follow that up with another survey 2 weeks later, and there we dwelled more into, it's more of open-ended questions, and the same question, how are you feeling? There were basically more people feeling better. Those people that were feeling worse were mostly women, young women and young people, and it was mostly attributable to, well, the crisis as such. So having kids at home and struggling with a home that suddenly has become a school, a workplace for 2 or 3, and all that stuff. So, and that was kind of a demand from our management team that we asked we sent out the questionnaires on Wednesday, closed it on Friday, and on Monday morning the management team was having their benchmarks on dashboards with the results of the survey and analyzing what had to be done. So the speed of delivering the data was much faster.
Impressive. Impressive is what it was. And, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So we have been very kind of. It has been, when you have used data and shown the management team for so long time that you don't guess about things, you use data, and so you just don't say, well, I think it's because of this. We can't allow us that. We have to get more data. And the way we do that now is it's not acceptable to get that in a month. So we need to get the answers right away. So that means doing things faster. And well, we have better technology today to make that happen. Yep. And out of this last survey we did, we have put together a group now that I am leading, and that looks at the opportunities for more flexibility in the work, so taking steps to adjust work and design work in a better way.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, let me jump in real quick, because I want to emphasize this point before you continue, because what I heard is that you had already built the relationship equity and the trust among leaders by doing what you've done historically. And now when this crisis happens, you're using COVID-19 data, you're getting new data on how people are doing, how they're thinking and feeling. And now you have an audience that is meeting more frequently. And now you're getting into this topic of work design or work strategy on how work is going to get done in the future. So is that an accurate recap?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah. And I think, in terms of my story within the company, I've been here for 9 years, and it's coincidence, but me and the current CEO, we were hired in the same month. So you have to earn the trust of the management team, and you have to have a management and the C-suite that is acknowledge that this is the way to do it. And he said, well, I am the responsible for this data and for presenting it and asking the right question and answering the other questions that comes up. And through this presentation of data and working with data, data-driven focus in the work, you build that trust. Mm-hmm. So that is coming back to us now that this has been, we have built this in the company for such a long time.
Good for you. And now you're at this point where it's not about analytics just for analytics' sake, not workforce planning just for planning's sake. You've actually, and I was excited when we talked about it prior to this, is work design. So I'm really big on this notion of perpetual work design in the future of work, because we have digitization, outsource providers. We're going to use contractors as well as employees. People are going to work from home. They're going to go to co-working places. They're going to come back to the office or location. So this is going to happen ongoing, and it's not going to be a static state. So what I hear you doing there is developing infrastructure and processes that are going to enable this ongoing perpetual work design. Can you speak to that?
Yeah. We started this work, 1 year ago, when we were looking at the opportunities, called it the opportunities of the future. And we did our interviews with our managers, and we sent out a questionnaire to the groups, and then we had a workshop with different groups, not the managers, but with different groups within the company, serving in similar roles. And so together we were having a primer discussion and the presentation on how we saw the development of the technology and all that in that sphere, but getting the people to discuss it with us and to discuss it together. So breaking up the silos in the company, that was part of it, and getting people to think how will the technology and the changes that are happening in technology change my work, and what are the opportunities. We're also doing this to evaluate the need for training and education and such. So in this COVID situation, we were kind of seeing, we didn't saw this coming. We didn't saw this change coming.
You're not alone.
And I'm picking up that from you and your presentation on the online event in London, but and Josh Bersin also, and some other that are focusing on resilience in leadership and in companies. So not only the technological changes, but also the role of leaders in creating a resilient organization, and being focused on technology, and also having the ability to communicate with their people and lead the way in that way. So that is another aspect of this COVID-19 crisis that has given us a new focus in this work. What is how are our leaders ready lead the people not only in technological changes, but in shift environmental changes and social changes. And I am leading a group now that is looking at what is the capabilities of this company to be more flexible. People are coming. What changes now? I can take one example is that people drove from the other side of town to pick up a car to go work on a assignment that was just close to their home.
Yeah.
In the COVID-19 crisis, we said, well, you just take the car to your home. So is that something we are going to change forever? And what is the implication of that? And has a lot to do with trust? A lot of people are asking us to work more from home. So we have to kind of, looking at the cost and benefits of that and creating some structures around that. All the other changes and people are asking for and is creating a better experience of what work is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you're getting me excited because, what not only resilience is important, and thank you for the kind words and call out there. One of the things that I'm going to be writing about here shortly is this notion of elasticity. You talked about flexibility. The elasticity, by definition, means that we can flex, that we can contract, we can expand, not only at individual levels, given where we are, stage of life. Do we have a young family? Are our kids off? To in their own lives. What is my personal situation, because that's going to inform my capacity. So my question, and it goes back to this well-being and healthier workplaces, which you are committed to individually and your organization is committed to. Just to bring it down a level, you mentioned that you're surveying employees. Are you subsequently doing focus groups or things like that where you can get their ideas on how the future of work will look for them, or how they want it to look, and then that inform your strategy moving forward? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, we are gathering together different players in this, and it's not it has to. You have to have the conversation with the people. We in the HR or the analytics function, we are not going to say you how it is. The future is, you change the future and the future changes you or the present. And so we are doing some, we are doing questionnaires, and we are also doing some focus workshops and such to make this discussion alive. So actually these days I am planning the next phase in that assignment.
With that in mind, there's two more things that I want to make sure that we touch on before we wrap it. And that's number one, what's your team look like? What does your capability with tools look like? Because as we talk about the future of work and designing, we're like in this place where budgets are tightening and we have to make decisions with scarce resources. So are you leveraging everything that you have now and nothing's going to be new? And if so, what's working for you? Because again, if I'm a listener, I'm like, oh yeah, this is really cool, but I don't have this and I'm not going to get that. I have to make do with what I have, both in terms of people, process, technology. The governance structure can change, but those three pillars, arguably might be more static, moving forward. So can you speak to, how your team's structured and the technologies that you're using?
Yeah, well, the analytical team is, you're looking at it.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
There was the implication that you had like a whole army behind you, so you're doing
yeah,
well.
no. But well, I'm not alone in that respect. But I am part of the HR team, and my supervisor is the chief of HR, and we are also situated in well, it's HR, it's facilities. So we are trying to combine the whole employee experience that you
Nice.
have as a employee of this company. It's governed in one hand.
Are you calling it that, if you don't mind me interrupting? Are you calling it employee experience?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And the situation, the function is called HR and culture. So that is the formal title. But in our working languages, we are calling it the employee experience. So I'm in charts and doing most of the analytics on pay and HR data, in good cooperation with the finance department. And I also have a good relationship with the team that is with the business intelligence. So we are just using the HR system, taking that into data warehouse, and there I'm taking out the data and putting it in Tableau in dashboards. That's what I'm using the most.
Okay.
We have like a junior pay analyst also, and that is very, very helpful. And we have been building with a company called Pay Analytics a PACE salary advisor. So we are making our HR business partners more capable to analyze data within the structure we have built around pay in this company. And they are kind of using that and our structure to find out the salary, what is the correct salary.
And so what I hear is that the reporting, particularly around pay, is delegated to someone who's a bit more junior, so you can actually focus on the analytics and storytelling. Is that right?
Yeah.
And it also invites the question, and again, this is going to be where we start to wrap up, is the word I use is governance. You mentioned a crisis committee. And so my pointed question is, with digital transformation, employee experience, culture, analytics, all this stuff, is it starting to come together in a, for you all as an organization? And is that team, that's the crisis team, do you see that being an ongoing governance body that now is more cohesive and integrated as a result of COVID-19?
Well, the crisis committee has been here for a long time. Okay. But the focus of the crisis committee has mainly been on the natural disasters that could happen in this country and the effects of that on our operations. So it could be lot of heat in the ground, and right. We are utilizing that, but it can be very, very dangerous also. So their role has more now focused, as everywhere else, on the people and making sure that people are functioning, so the company is functioning. So I see that as a little bit of a change for this committee. But serving these governance functions with data is quite well, it's quite advanced, I would say, in our company, and we are trying to combine all these factors into one. Well, at least as it looks from the view of the employee, that it's the employee is just talking to one unit.
Got it. Yeah, that's important. Well, good for you all. And just a final qualifying question on that is the frequency in which that group is meeting. Is that more? Are you meeting once a week, every 2 weeks? I mean, how often is that group getting together to modify decisions and move forward, together?
This emergency group or our group?
Both, actually.
Yeah, the emergency group met once a day through this crisis. Is now meeting 3 times a week. Okay. And we'll probably throughout the summer meet. Well, we'll just see how this how long it will be needed, but they are also planning, and we're helping them to plan the changes to the workplace. So that is something that will be done at least once a week. Our team that is holding this all together, we are with daily meetings. So combining our forces and
is that different from before? How frequently did you meet before?
The unit is new. It was combined in November, and these regular meetings are kind of from February.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Vidir, there's so much more we could talk about. I mean, the fair pay work that you've done. I mean, we can point to the session that you've done at PAFOW. So I'll make sure we put that in the comments below. But I just want to thank you. Not only thank you for sharing time with me and your insights and ideas, but also, for your values and bringing those values to life, through your work. It is, I think, a model for others to follow. And so, congratulations and thank you. Super appreciate you being here. Now, how can people learn more about you and your work?
Well, thank you so much for your kind words. Well, I think the best way to find me is on LinkedIn. I'm under the linkedin.com fair pay. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Very appropriate.
Yeah, I managed to get that. So in my LinkedIn page, you can contact me and please connect to me, and I'm happy to share and learn from you all.
All right. Again, Vidir, super appreciate you being here, and all the best moving forward. Hope to see you there maybe before too long, since you all are opening up. So I might be in your neighborhood. We'll see.
Yeah, hope so.
All right. All right. Be well. Bye.
Bye.